Alright, welcome back to Mutton Chop Gaming. I'm the Mutton Chop Gamer, and villains. People blame them for everything. Got a promotion at work and had to shave? Villains. Lost your Splatoon script in the middle of a move, so now you have to make a half-assed list of Nintendo villains? Villains! That unshakable fear that because this is your last year in college, you know that soon you will have to sacrifice your time of playing the games you love so that you don't starve to death? Maybe villains. But honestly, I like villains, ever since the Disney villains, because I'm with Doug Walker, they had the best songs, and Nintendo villains have been pretty good. That said, here are my top 10 Nintendo villains. I was going to put King DDD here, but honestly, I can't call him a villain. He's doing what he believes is best for his country, and if he and Kirby had communicated better, Kirby might not have actually had to fight a few of his main villains. No, I pick Nightmare because his goal was to destroy the very name of the country he was working against. He was stopping the dreams of Dreamland. He's low on the list, though, because we don't know that much about him at all. But you do get a better sense of his evil from the TV show, so go watch that after this video. Okay, this is kinda cheating because you could see the X-Parasites as all minions, and the SAX as the main villain of Metroid Fusion. However, to quote Samus, the X hunger for form, knowledge, and power. They mimic these perfectly, but they cannot copy the soul. They're single-minded, instinctively seeking to increase in number. They're a plague, and the Federation underestimates this threat. The way I see it, they're sharing their information with each other, and since they reproduce asexually, they can have as many of each one as they need for their own purposes. They will kill any living thing on the BSL they can, and take their forms to spread. I will put it low on the list, though, because it's more of a natural wanting to spread than any goal. Because, to quote Dante's Inferno, the incontinent suffer a lighter punishment because their sins, being without malice, are less offensive. Vaati is known for two things: the Four Swords games and the Minish Cap. Not only is he the guy that created Link's signature hat— wait, then how did Link have the hat in Skyward Sword? But his story is a lust for power through magic. Heck, he stole his master's magic and used it to make himself grow from a Minish to Hylian size. But he's the kind of villain that only wants power. And speaking of only wanting power, you cannot talk about a lust for power without talking about the big baddie, who wields the Triforce of power. Ganondorf is not only the reincarnation of Demise, which is basically an everlasting hatred of Zelda and Link, but he is also the only male of the Gerudo tribe, as one is born every 100 years. Plus, he can transform into a giant monster that reflects his heart. But he's not on the list. I know I hear your angry voices, but just hear me out a second. Ganon is only a one-note villain. I mean, think about it. He has been in so many games, and all we know is that he wants power to conquer all, and he hates little boys with green hats. Yuga Ganon, however, is a smidgen more interesting. After Yuga sealed away the 7 sages of Hyrule, I'll go with it. It fused with Ganon, becoming Yuga Ganon. All the power of Ganon was combined with the power of Yuga, and Yuga, character-wise, is a bit more interesting. Yuga is working to take away the Triforce and bring it into Lorule, a land that destroyed their Triforce a long time ago. It's basically a resource war where Lorule needs Hyrule's Triforce to become beautiful again. And since Yuga Ganon is both Yuga and Ganon, I hope that will appease the Zelda fanboys. Or if it won't, replace this entry with the CDI. You can't tell me the CDI is not the worst villain in Zelda history. People in the early 2000s were dumb, weren't they? I mean, aside from electing George Bush, when the GameCube launched and Mario wasn't the main star, but instead it was Luigi and he was a Ghostbuster, people shrugged it off. I saw the commercials for the game, and even though I didn't have a GameCube, I thought Luigi's Mansion looked amazing! It's still the best Ghostbusters game there is, and it's not even officially licensed! That said, King Boo! He combines with a dead Bowser at the end of the game, and he has it out for Mario and Luigi, wanting to bring them both into the realm of the dead. It's one thing to call your archenemy a living, breathing monster. It's something else to say even the dead are after you. Let's face it, we all knew this guy would make the list. He slaughtered Samus's family when she was a little girl. He is the leader of the space pirates, and he consumes flesh to regenerate every time Samus kills him. Sure, he had to be made into a machine a few times in order to keep eating, but he just can't stay dead! Unless an ex-parasite devours his flesh, but he does bad things out of a desire to do bad things! Not out of a desire to further his species. And that's why he makes the list. Next! As you travel and relive the same 3 days in Termina, you see the damage Skull Kid has performed. You see the misery, the anger, and the grief that he spread across Termina out of angst for his friends abandoning him. But let's not forget there was a particular mask egging him on. Majora's mask was used in hexing ritual, so it makes sense that Majora himself, or her, what is with Zelda villains not being able to tell their gender? Majora makes the list. It wants to cause so much damage to everyone in Termina, and you see it happening as its control over Skull Kid threatens to not only make everyone miserable, but to kill everyone too! You can't reason with it. It only wants to watch Termina burn. You know, despite being an RPG aimed at children, Pokemon has had some great villains, am I right? We've had scientists and pirates threatening to destroy the world. We've had a guy who wants to destroy the planet to rebuild it in his own image. We've had people who want to sever the bond between people and Pokemon for their own gain. Heck, we've even had a guy who wants to kill everyone who isn't rich. But evil isn't always how big your plan is, it's the little things. I present to you Giovanni. Oh sure, a mob boss may not look like much when compared to those previous guys, but I'm not talking about that. If you do the Celebi event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you see Giovanni leaving Kanto after having been defeated by Red, and you see a kid with red hair running up to him. Giovanni abandoned his child after his pride was hurt, and he went off to train and be ready in case Team Rocket was ready to make a comeback. His red-headed child ended up being your hate-filled rival in Johto, going as far as stealing a Pokemon from Professor Elm. Look, I know this is just me talking, and I know you're all probably angry that it put Giovanni above a lot of other villains here, but I can't stand it when a parent abandons their child for their own selfish purposes. Surprise! Bowser is on a list of villains! But he's not here because he's an ancient evil. Well, ancient by video game standards anyway. He's here for a deeper reason. Thing is, in the normal Mario games, he is clearly villain through and through. But in the RPG Mario games, he's clearly the lesser of the evils. Super Mario RPG, Mario and Luigi games, Paper Mario. We see Bowser isn't evil like the bigger villains that invade. Bowser may always identify as evil, and if given the choice between good and bad, he will always pick bad. But he limits himself to what he does that is bad. He kidnaps princesses and takes over kingdoms. He never does anything to the princesses, he just kidnaps them to seal away the magic that can stop him. And yet he conveniently always leaves power-ups for Mario to obtain, even in his own castles, because he knows he is bad, and he knows he needs to be defeated. He is a self-aware villain that revels in his own darkness, but knows that light must prevail over all. After having kidnapped the princess a few times in his early adventures, he has chosen to wear the label of evil given to him. They called him a villain because he was doing things for the good of Koopa kind and to liberate those whom the Mushroom Kingdom stomps all over. But he now wears the label of evil just to spite his enemies. Oh, and what's more, he's a family man? Yeah, Bowser is a better father than Giovanni. We'll let that sink in for a little bit. Whether you be in America, Eagle Land, or the Nowhere Islands, nobody is safe from his influence. He makes people, animals, and even machines become aggressive. He brings out a lust for power and control. He is Giygas! His surrogate father abandoned him and his surrogate mother. His alien race's leaders ordered him to destroy planet Earth. He went mad when he learned it was his destiny to be defeated by a mere child. And his psychic influence not only nearly brought chaos across America and Eagle Land, but his influence on Porky hurt so many people in the Nowhere Islands and Mother 3. Please give it to us already, Nintendo. I know, this may be a controversial choice, but come on! He acts as subtly as the devil himself. His original form looked like Mewtwo. You cannot grasp his form in Earthbound. And he was inspired by rape. He's horrifying. He's menacing. He's just Nintendo's best villain.
And there you go, my top 10 Nintendo villains. Now, I realize that with the move, I need to fix some lighting here. This side of my face is rather yellow right now. I look like a non-bald Homer Simpson. But I still love all of you very much, even after my move. And hopefully, I'll see you all next week. School year's about to begin. It's gonna get chaotic.